Hello and welcome to Hikvision. I'm Louise Parsons, one of the BDMs here at Hik, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Hikvision Central 2.0. Throughout the presentation, we're going to have live questions answered by Young Hing, who's a product manager for HikCentral. After I've done a little bit of a presentation, we're going to go across to Daniel Hawkins, our pre-sales engineer, who's going to be doing a live demonstration of the product itself. At the end of the presentations, we're going to go across to a Mentimeter where we're going to get a survey completed so we can get some of your valuable feedback. And then we have a prize draw at the end. And today we actually have 8 prizes, which is the most we've ever had on our webinars. So it's really exciting. So first of all, we're going to go straight into the presentation. What is HikCentral? Now, I think we're going to have a mix of people on here today. Some of you that have used HikCentral for quite a while, and others who haven't had any experience with it yet. Those of you will know our IVMS 4200 platform, which is a standalone piece that is needs quite a lot of human intervention on it. And you download that onto every PC or client that you want to use for the system. However, if you have multiple cameras and you wanted to add cameras to the system, you have to add them to each and every device, each PC that you've got running. So it can be a bit more labour intensive. HikCentral is a completely different topology. It's a VMS. You have a server, which is the host, your brain of the system, and then that talks to each of your MVRs or recording devices that you have on the system. But you can set up all of your configurations centrally. So if you make any changes centrally, that goes out and replicates onto all clients and all devices. So it's much easier to use moving forwards. We've had HikCentral now since the end of 2017, which is 3 decent years. And we've actually got a team of R&D engineers here in Stockley Park near Heathrow. So we've got about 30 people there working to bring you the latest features and also on any customizations that we may need to do. So, topology-wise, we have the server talking to our recorders. We actually have 2 platforms for HikCentral. One is the web client and one is the control client. The web client has mainly been used previously to set up the system and configure it. The control client has been used to download on your PC or laptop to utilise and operate the system. Some of the features I'm going to talk about today actually apply to the web or the control or even both. But I'm going to try and specify what they are to make it easy and simple for us to understand the features. So, why else would you use HikCentral? There's a few main features for this. If you've got multiple sites and you want to host them from one central location, so I've got a head office talking to many sites around the world or around the UK, I can do so. And it makes it really simple and can push out updates and everything over the system. Now, if we've got more than 30 cameras, I would say it's a really good idea to have a VMS like this because it gives that central control over the system. And it gives you features that are essential like the health monitoring and audit trails that you may need for a larger system. I'm not saying you wouldn't use it on a small system because you definitely would. It's just, I would say for that size system, it's pretty imperative that you do. It allows multiple users on the system, so we can have up to 200 people using it at any one time. And it's a really intuitive, easy-to-use platform. So for your day-to-day operator, it's a really nice platform to use. We're going to be covering quite a few points today. So we've got 11 on the screen, and these are features of the system. And I'll be running through all the differences between them. So, HikCentral, how do we sell HikCentral? How do we quote it? And what packages do we offer you? Well, there's a few different types, and there's 3 main ways of doing this. The first one is a new release. It's a workstation, so it's a PC that comes complete with the software. In that PC, the software that it comes with is a 32-channel camera license, 4 ANPRs, 2 facial recognition, 8 access control points, 8 intercom points, and temperature screening as standard. Now, if you're running this workstation as your server, because predominantly we've said you'd have a server running talking to recorders and then you'd have your clients, if you're going to have this workstation as your server and client in one, it has to be limited to a point of what it can do, and therefore This one cannot be expanded. You cannot add additional cameras to it. It is a limited license. So it can only go up to the channel count that you've got on the screen. The second option in the middle there is a software-only license. So this is where we give you a software package. Now you have that choice to load it onto a workstation as your server and client in one. But if you do that, I wouldn't go above anything like 32 cameras. Keep it minimal because you're obviously asking it to be a server and a client as well. And I would definitely recommend something decent like an i7 with 16 gig of RAM to do so if you were doing that. Otherwise, host it as a server platform and that's going to do the job. And we do have a software requirements form, so we can send you that so you can look at the specifications that you may need for the hardware requirement. Now, this SMB license, we like to call it, because it's for small, medium businesses, comes complete with 12 camera channels, 4 doors, 4 intercom monitors, 8 alarms, and the temperature screening as standard. Now, the great thing about this one is you can expand it. If you want to add an ANPR license or the smart wall module or extra cameras, you can do. The really good thing about HikCentral is one of the features we can use it for is if you're using our ANPR systems. The 4200 software, so the standalone software that we have, if you're using ANPR, to amend those lists on the system, you'd need to upload a CSV file. With HikCentral, you can set up the users within the system, so it's really simple to use. Hence why you would maybe like to go for the Workstation 32 for that application, or even this middle software license and just add on your ANPR. The third option on the right there is software only. So again, just software, no hardware, and you would probably most likely have your server requirement to host it centrally. Now, what you need to make this work is for the cameras and the access control, you need a base license. So on the cameras, you've got an option for a 0, 16, 64, 300 camera licenses, and we have an option on the 64 and 300 to actually come with the server itself, so to come with that hardware from us too. There is a slight benefit for doing that. You get your upgrading licenses for up to 3 years rather than 2 years, so there is that benefit. Now, if you've got, say, 20 cameras and you've bought the 16-way base license, what you'd need to do is add an additional 4 camera channels. So we take it from 16 to 20. And then you have a choice to add on all your different modules, which you will see as we go forwards. But we've got a list of them on the screen there. So it could be an ANPR camera you're adding, facial recognition, the smart wall module, thermal module, intercoms, any time of attendance that you might have. We've got that list there and those modules to add on if you want to use those features. However, it may be that the base license gives you everything that you need and all the features that you want to use is there. So it's only the specialist things we're adding on. And we also do have integration too, which we're going to see a little bit further on. Just to recap on the previous slide, no matter what the size of the system, HikCentral is a really good tool to use. It could be just for a couple of cameras, like I've said before, for an ANPR, or just a small system where they want something a little bit more intuitive. So a little commercial site, an office, or maybe even just a small pub. We've then got medium size all the way through to a large scale project, which could be up to 10,000 channels. So that could be a hospital, a data center, a large commercial, any type of systems, but it's completely scalable for what you want to use. So we just piece it together. Right, so to go on to the main features of the system now, enhanced mapping. Mapping is something we've had from the start. It's just enhanced more than it ever has been before. Now, with your maps, you can plot all your devices. So it's not just your cameras now, you can plot your access control, intruder alarms, and it's interactive too. So you can actually click on those icons, so say click on the camera icon, and it will take you to the camera view live. Now, Dan is going to give us a live demonstration on this so you can see for yourself what features you have. Now, on the screen, you can actually see 3 points highlighted in red with new written next to them. And that's because these are the new features to this latest release. So we have 2 to 3 releases of HikCentral software a year. And in that, so now we've just released 2.0, and these are the additional features that we've added to the system to make it even better. So map functionality on the web client. I said to you before, we've got a web client and a control client. So we didn't have full mapping ability. We had light maps on the web client, but we've now got the full same ability that we have on the control client on the web client too. We've got mapping layers, which we can show you there in the image where you can see all the different maps you've got on the system. So you can just click on any of those maps and it will take you to that specific one. And we've got alarms and third-party linkage now too. So those third-party devices can be plotted on the map too. Alarm Centre, a critical part of any VMS. And of course, this is on there as standard. Now, you can see in the snapshot there, you've got the alarms coming in at the top. When you're configuring the system, you're deciding what alarms you want to come into the system. And we can actually set priorities, which can be colour-coded. So low, medium, high priorities, all in different colours. You can see we've got them orange there. And if you actually click on the orange icon, it will bring up the associated video. And if you've got your mapping all set up and configured in the system, it will show you the mapping too, and it will show you which device on the system has been alerted. This is great because it gives the operator more time. It allows him to action the alarm really quickly. You can also click on the alarms, and when you click on the alarm, you can acknowledge it and write notes on the alarm too, so it removes it from the list above. Now, there are 3 new features to the Alarm Centre, again, written in red. Quite a big one, new combined alarm feature. So this is where we can actually combine up to 3 alarms to give you your alert. So it could be a line crossing with a PIR before you get your alert. We've then got 2 on there which both say plug-in, so remote video patrol and alarm SOP. And by plug-in, we mean a module add-on. So there is a cost associated to that. Both of these I see working in a control room 24/7 monitoring environment. The Remote Video Patrol add-on schedules automated tasks and it looks and reviews to give you more enhancement and more features on that platform. Alarm SOP, Alarm Standard Operating Procedure, it's what do you do when an alarm comes in. So if you've pre-programmed those notes, they can come up on the screen when an alarm goes off so the operator knows what to do in those events. We can then distribute alarms to the different users and we can get operator statistics if you have that monitoring type environment too. Low bandwidth support. So we have an algorithm within our software, within the HikCentral software. So if you do have any dips in your network connections and you get lower speeds, we're saying that we can still have a 25 megapixel camera, 25 image per second, still working at 400 kilobits and still deliver a smooth, sharp live view and playback. Video wall. Now I must point out on the video wall, this is a module add-on, so there is a cost associated to this module. And there's a couple of different part codes you can choose from, and it does depend which hardware you're using to create the video wall. One would be you'd use one of our Hikvision decoders, which is a network device that's on your network, and it has a number of monitor outputs depending on which one you've purchased. Or you may be using a PC with a graphics card built in. Either one that you're using, the idea behind this is to give you a complete video wall, smart wall solution. So you can dictate how many cameras you want to view across all your screens, the positioning of those, the size of those. Do you want any third-party feeds coming in? Maybe you want Sky News coming in or some sort of television feed. Now, we've also got the ability to have alarm pop-ups. And we've now surrounded the alarm pop-up by a red box. So it visually highlights the alarm that's coming in. We also have a new license structure coming in over the next couple of weeks. This is for those of you who just want to add a couple of monitors on a smart wall using our decoders. So you can buy them singly rather than having to buy the whole module add-on. You can buy it per monitor, and you will see that coming through in the next couple of weeks. Health monitoring as standard on the system and an essential part to the VMS. So this is where we can monitor every device on the system, whether it's access control, CCTV, or even third-party devices coming through. You can see on the image on the left-hand side, we have lots of different circles, some surrounded by green and red. Ideally, you want them all to be surrounded in green. Green means all good. Red means you potentially have a fault on the system. Now, those also have a number in them, and you can click on the circles and it will take you to that data so you can analyse what the problems may be. Now, the great thing about HikCentral is we now have integration with our own smart switches. So if you are using the Hikvision smart switch, you can get even more intense further investigation into those switches, down to the port analysis as well. And the great news is, that's again really hard to explain. Dan Hawkins is going to be showing you this live a little bit later on. Now, health monitoring is now available on the web client. So we didn't have health monitoring on there before. Now, you probably noticed there's a lot of features that are being added to the web client. And you may think, oh, why would we do that? It's making sure we've got all platforms and all ways of viewing the system. Yes, it was used more, the web client before, for just, setting up the system. However, we're making it easier for you to be able to use it as a viewing platform too, because it may be that you haven't got the client downloaded. Maybe you don't have the permissions to download it onto your laptop. Maybe you've got workmen in, or you've not got your laptop on you, but you can simply put in your IP address, all password protected, and you can get into your individual account. And we're giving you more features, so you have more variation on what you can actually do from the system, and use it as an operating platform as well. And you may notice as well on the screen, you've got a different colour background to what we've had before, so it's a new GUI platform. I think it really helps the colours stand out so you can see a better visual representation on it. We have an open API. We work really closely to try and integrate, to enhance our integration platforms, hence why we have an open API. So this is where we can give that to third parties to integrate into our system. So whether it's our access control, ANPR, video, anything, we can give them that API. One of the add-on modules we did last year, so this, again, there is a cost associated to this, is the Optimus platform. The cost is associated per brand that you're integrating with, but it allows us to integrate that brand into our HikCentral system. Optimus is a system-level middleware product which is committed to building up in the information bridge between HikCentral and third-party systems. By using Optimus, events, alarms, access records, as well as resources such as person can be transferred between HikCentral and multiple systems. And in the meantime, the user is able to control, create linkages between physical resources and across systems. Now, I did work on a job recently where we integrated the Galaxy intruder alarms into the HikCentral too. So it really is a good platform to pull everything together. Visual tracking, this is a really nice feature as standard in the HikCentral. Now, this is something you would configure on the initial setup. What we can do is we can link up to 8 points from every camera image so that we can follow someone around a premises. So someone could walk in there and we can press on the icons to show you to the next camera that is next following them around the building. It's quite difficult for me to explain that one, but don't worry, again, Dan can demo that one live and show you exactly how it works with Young in tow. Evidence locker, and again, this is as standard on the system. Previously, when you download evidence, it might be to your local PC hard drive, and you might have multiple clients doing that, multiple operators. Well, we can actually forward to the evidence locker. So you could have a dedicated server on site and transfer that over SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol, and have it password protected as well. So that means only the people who need access get access to that data. It is searchable as well, so you could actually look for all the thefts that have maybe happened across the last month, and we can link evidence. So if you've had an event, you can link all the different pieces of footage or events that have happened to that one piece, and that is searchable as well. Client dashboard. This is a completely new feature to 2.0. Okay, so previously, when you log on to your client, you get the image there in the background. So you can see one image with the modules and the different colors across it. So that's always what we've had when we log in. However, now when you're setting up the system, you have a choice to pick menu mode, which is that module display, or visualize mode. Visualize mode gives you the choice. You can either use a predefined one in the system, or you can completely create your own client dashboard. So you can select maybe some important cameras that you want to constantly view on your dashboard, some alarms, and as you can see, we've put mapping on there too, but the choice is yours. And that's available on the web client and the control client. So what is new? For those of you who've been using HikCentral and you just want to know, well, what is actually new on this latest 2.0 version? Just to recap, health monitoring and the audit trail are now on the web client as well as the control client. the ability to search alarms on the web client. We've now got co-branding on the web client too, so that's great for brand awareness, but also your details, your telephone number are going to be there from a touch of the button on the software platform for your customer should they need to contact you. There's a new wizard for easy setup on the web client. So it was easy before, it's just made that even easier. Combined alarms, as I said before, you can combine up to 3 alarms before you get your alert. The frame is highlighted on the video wall, so for the alarm pop-ups, you get that red frame. And you've got the customizable dashboard as well. And that is on the web and the control client. Digital signage. So we haven't covered digital signage today. This may be where you have multiple monitors up on a site. So you could have a shopping centre with some floor standing monitors that you want to put some advertisements, maybe some messages, or even some cameras up on display. Previously, we've done this and used our FoxSign free of charge software where you design and set your schedules for what you want displayed on those network monitors. However, what we've done is we've just integrated that into the HikCentral software, so that means you're only using one piece of software, one platform to utilise the system rather than having to use 2 different pieces of software. We've now got alarm reports on the web and control clients too, and multi-layered mapping, as you saw in the image previously. There are a few other features, but there was too many to mention in one session today. Now, if you like what we've discussed today and you've never used HikCentral, or you have a particular end user or client who really wants to trial the system, we can give you a 1-month free trial, and we give you all the features in that too. You will need to supply your own hardware to host that on, whether it's a server or whether it's a PC that you're running as a workstation, so a server and a client in one, you need to supply that. If you want to take us up on our free trial, then just contact your local BDM. And if you don't know who your local BDM is, please talk to your distributor and they will be able to get that sorted for you. Hopefully, you've been asking your questions to Young as we've been going along. If you haven't, do not fear, you still have time to do that. So just submit your questions at the bottom of your Zoom page and hopefully Young will be able to answer them for you. We're going to go across live to Dan Hawkins, who's going to do us a live presentation. And after Dan has finished, we're going to be going through the Mentimeter survey and then what we've all been waiting for, the prize draw at the end. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you later.
Hello, welcome, and thank you, Louise. That was a good introduction to some of the new features on HikCentral 2.0. So I'm going to go through those features highlighted by Louise in a technical demonstration. We'll share our HikCentral screen with you connected to our London Stockley Park system. I'll go through what happens when you first start up HikCentral 2.0, and then I'll show you how you can navigate the initial homepage in the client, configure it for your end users' individual needs, and we'll look at mapping, a little bit of de-warping, the visual tracking, which Louise touched on, health monitoring, and the custom dashboard. Not essentially all new features, but manageable in a very different way. So if we switch over to the control client, you'll see that we are ready to log on. Enter in the usual details, your username and password. Log in, and what you'll see is a more segmented style of layout, rather than the traditional icons that we had in the previous version. This page is your control panel, a kind of dashboard. We can see all the relevant data we require from this one page. We have our ANPR cameras, our regional map, some face comparisons for the office employees, some alarm monitoring, alarm reporting segments, and all you can see is saved as my own personal layout. We've not removed the old structure, it is still there. On the top left, we have our menu structure with all your favorites, monitoring, event search, playback, smart wall, and settings. Clicking any of these takes you to the familiar pages where you can select a camera or camera view or playback, etc. Just close those off. So to customize your control panel dashboard, to do this, we need to open up the control panel setup page. We do this by selecting the name of the control panel in the top left-hand corner. We click Add a Control Panel. Now we're faced with 12 segments, a grid which is 4 by 3 squares. So there's 4 along and 3 up. Now these squares are dynamic. Once you add a source, you can move around to fit your needs or resize them if they're too big or too small. On the left is our source tree. Here you can pick from all the devices registered to the HikCentral system. As you can see, they are divided into subcategories, surveillance and intelligent analysis. In surveillance, we have cameras, doors and elevators, vehicles, real-time people counting, face recognition, face comparison, alarm monitoring, maps, and health status. These are your physical devices, such as your cameras, gates, alarms. And then in intelligent analysis below that, we have alarm analysis, people counting, queue analysis, heat, pathway, person feature, skin surface temperature, temperature analysis, and vehicle analysis. These are your reporting features or data mining tools. They give you a quick glance, a reference at a quick glance to things like alarm reports in the last 24 hours. So I'm going to start with health monitoring. If I add this, it will just add it to the tab that we've selected. If I don't like it there, I can move it around to position somewhere else. I'm going to add alarm monitoring in the next window. I'm going to add a couple of cameras. Maybe one of the fisheye cameras from our showroom and our 2 ANPR cameras. And our facial camera from the front of the office. Lastly, I'll add the map so that we can have a look at that. Now the map I want to make bigger, so I'll go to the edge of the display area till the arrows change, and then I can just drag it down and resize and reposition if need be. Once saved, we can change the name of that as well, that layout. If I got to the top, just delete what's written up there. Type in Dan's control panel, and then save. Once saved, the page will revert back to the control panel, and all those nice features that we've just selected are there in front, ready to view. That's the first change in 2.0. As you can see, the layout is as I have defined it. You can see the cameras I selected, plus the fisheye camera. Now the fisheye camera, if I double tap this, brings it up to full view. We then get all the context buttons at the bottom that you would normally expect when you're monitoring. In this instance, I can go into de-warping, grab the image, and just start to de-warp the image and zoom in. So that's one of our fisheye cameras in our Stockley Park showroom. The idea is that I can show you how easy it is to access a camera and then access that context menu nice and quickly. The next feature is our interactive mapping. We've had maps on previously. In 2.0, we've added multi-layered maps. This is a very powerful tool to be able to collate maps on top of one another. If I select the map option, I can then see a list of all the layered maps that we have. Here's the office. If I tap the office, we're then presented with an overview of the office. I can zoom in and zoom out or move around that map. If I touch any of the icons, I can then get an overview of what's going on with the cameras in that location. We can also do a fuzzy search. If I type in the name in the top corner, any cameras with that particular name, so fisheye, all I've done is type in fish. I can then select through any camera that's got the name fish inside, tap that, and we'll be taken to that camera where I can get another overview of what's going on. So back to the control panel. If I open a camera that we have pre-configured with visual tracking, If I engage the visual tracking, this is our welcoming camera at Stockley Park. You can define up to 8 other cameras as a camera source on the image. These are denoted by these little blue camera icons that we have on there. And you'll notice that as I hover over them, they will turn orange. This is to indicate which camera we're going to go to next. So we've got Young, our product manager, who's waiting earnestly to be able to walk around the office for me. As he moves around the office, I can select the cameras where I think that he has been or is going to go. If I select right, it moves to the camera to the right of his location. As he travels through the office, we can then see him move through using the visual tracking. We'll follow Young as he moves around the office just by clicking the camera in the location next. The benefit being that with an intuitive click of the mouse, we can follow someone. When you are finished, the system will request you to save the file or save the video. If you do that, the video that you save will be a sequence of the object or person of interest moving from one camera to next. If we click OK, it saves the file into the download center. So let's have a quick look at health monitoring. If I go to the health monitoring page, the real-time data that we see gives you a graphical representation of the system topology. With this, you can quickly identify any issues within the system, from downed cameras to faulty hard drives. This helps you to be proactive with monitoring some larger systems. For example, in a control room environment, you may have a dedicated screen with health monitoring, allowing you to react to a troublesome device before it becomes critical. With the introduction of our smart switches, we can interrogate switch activity. If I open the details on our smart switch, I can review all of the critical information about a switch that I might need. Port activity, device status, IP address information, even port power consumption. We can now see a really granular view of our system topology, just locally within the one VMS. You can see the status of the network, the system server, and the quality of transmission across the network. That's some of the changes to the control client of version 2.0. I'll now move over to the web client and check some of the changes and feature additions there. If I just log on here. On the web client, the first page that you are presented with is a graphic designed to give you as much information as possible. On the left, we can see some health status with the network status and the device status below. Under, there are several tabs based on the licenses that you have installed. These can range from ANPR to cameras to business intelligence applications. In the middle is this big graphic showing a medium to large size installation. It includes the most common disciplines of access control, ANPR, digital signage, and video content analysis. Click on any of these disciplines and you'll be taken to another window for configuration of that discipline. Access control, for example. This will lead you onto a page that configures the access control points, the terminals, locks, and access ways for users, including user right to access configuration. This page also has the health status of the access control system and some reports of what's been going on, who's been coming through the doors, how many times the doors have been open, etc. Hit back and we go back to the main page. Again, we can select from any of the disciplines that we see here. We also have the map functionality in the web configuration. Similar to the control client, we can access map information. We can access the same layered information, or we can use the same fuzzy search to pick out any cameras. Click a camera or type in a name. Camera will and then click the camera to get the snapshot, and then we get the context menu below that so we can select those extra options. Again, this helps to quickly identify any required cameras or any areas of interest. If you'd prefer to see a normal drop-down list of features and options, then the 3 lines in the corner in the top left, these will give you a list of commands, kind of your contents page or your shortcuts to all the configuration, options and settings pages. In terms of configuration, if this setup is not to your taste, you can switch to an alternative view. If you click the switch mode button at the top, you can pick from 4 setup configurations. You have system installation and management. Here you can see all the configuration a system manager would view: cameras, MBRs, or access control points. This is how you configure those, or where you would configure those points. Security control and management. This is your page for security management in the user's location. A security manager would use these pages to create access control rights for visitors or residents, or entering number plate information for car parking. We have attendance management. So time and attendance can be configured from here, useful for HR to manage attendance records or shift schedules. And then we have the custom mode. This is a way to make the system show you what you need to see. On the left is another setting tree where you can add the features or remove the features that you require or you wish to see on a daily basis or whenever you open up the web client. This is even where you can find the wizard, which will guide you through adding those devices, taking those devices away, or adding user credentials, removing user credentials. Once you save this, you'll be reverted back to this page every time you log onto the web client. If you would prefer to use the graphical interface, then just hit reset to default and you'll go there. To summarize, the system, although has changed graphically, the intuitiveness of the software has increased. Monitoring solutions, installers, and system integrators can be more efficient now and can be effective at proactively monitoring customers and systems remotely and providing a software that enables data and footage retrieval intuitively and quickly. It is a comprehensive beast, but our support teams, including the BDM team, our distribution partners, our pre-sales team, are here to help you decide on the best practice for your HikCentral environment. Thank you for your time. I will now hand back to Louise for the survey and the prize giving.